So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the Ateneo Art Gallery. I'm Esti Bagos. I'm the managing curator of the Ateneo Art Gallery. And joining us today is Alfredo and Isabel Aquilizan. So, let's give them a hand. Um, so, just to introduce them very quickly, Alfredo and Isabel Aquilizan is a Filipino artist couple who emigrated to Australia in 2006. And after 18 years of living there, they returned to the Philippines last year. So, as a result of their personal experiences, migration, family, and cultural displacement are central themes that they address through their projects. So, their artistic language prioritizes the use of recycled materials and community participation. So, they've participated in numerous exhibitions, biennials, and their works are part of different museum collections around the world. So, this walkthrough is part of our program for Project Belonging Part 2, The Familiar in the Foreign, which actually runs only until April 16. So this is our last program in relation to this exhibition. So without further ado, Sir Alfredo, Ms. Isabel Aquilizan.
Hello.
Go lang. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thank you very much for finding time to come and join us today, to be with us. Paano ba natin umpisan to? As usual.
Okay. Medyo mahaba. Siguro kung... well, in a way, our work is also autobiographical, no? So maybe we can... maybe I can like go back sa panahon
1999 siguro.
Okay, 1999. We were part of the exhibition, yung Asia Pacific Triennial. It's APT3, so that's the third, no? In fact, the first one, we have the first one, which is in 1993. We have the biggest participants na galing sa Pilipinas. That includes Santi Bose, Robert Villanueva, Meps Kehipendaya.
Bogie Tense Ruiz. Hindi pa ba?
On the second.
Okay.
And Aro Soriano, Brenda Fajardo, among others, no. But anyway, the second one, Bogie Tense Ruiz and the Sanggawa, and then the third one kami kasama namin si
Agnes Arellano,
Agnes Arellano,
Roberto Feleo.
Roberto Feleo, and Lani Maestro, and at the same time si
John Frank Sabado.
John Frank Sabado, in which yung trabaho niya nandun din sa taas, no. Anyway, so we've been thinking actually of what we can we can show on that exhibition, and we thought of bringing in a house, pero yung bahay na tinitiran ng mga homeless sa kalye na kariton. But of course, Australia is very strict in their sa quarantine nila, so we're not able to do that project to bring in, no. We did a project in which we connected with with my cousin who moved to Australia when he was only 1 year old, and I've never met him. And I think for me, most especially, this is the opportunity for me to reconnect with my relatives sa Australia, no. So and for him also to start learning ano ba yung pinanggalingan niya na kultura, ano ba yung kanyang heritage and so on. So we asked him to collect objects that the Filipinos brought along with them when they migrated to Australia, which is very interesting kung ano talaga yung dinadala natin, or even illegally, no, kasi may mga kawayan and so on. So nang tinikling, may mga bintana na kapis ng lumang bahay nila, may barong Tagalog ng tatay nila nung kinasal and so on. So it was a plethora of objects that talks about home, no? that talks about yung memory, no? Of course, it's probably a human nature na we always bring along with us, even sa pitaka natin, picture ng nino, just to remind us of something, no? And then we did an installation of all these objects that the Filipinos brought along with them when they migrated to Australia. But along that, sa buong kwarto, pinuno namin yung sahig ng asin. And at the same time, pagpasok mo, maamoy mo yung amoy ng
Sampagita.
sampagita. So our work is all about materials and how it relates to an idea. Okay. So we use ordinary and everyday banal objects to create some kind of a narrative. So zoom in 2006, we were invited to participate again in Australia for the Sydney Biennial. So we thought of like, why don't we do this as a project? No? And Isabel and I decided to move to Australia together with our 5 children. We gave them 1 box of each, balikbayan boxes. I'm sure you're very familiar with balikbayan boxes. And then ask them to fill up whatever they want to bring along with them. It's a very wrenching process.
Masakit.
Mabigat, no, to leave home, and also most especially for our kids, just to choose what they can bring along in that little
Box.
vessel or box, no. And we have 12 boxes of things that we brought along with us. Have the Sydney Biennial ship those balikbayan boxes. We remove yung box and reveal what's inside, and that becomes our work. So we have 12 boxes of things that we brought along with us being exhibited at the Sydney Biennial, in which the theme of the exhibition is zones of contact. No? So in a way, yun yung pinaka-reference or parang point of departure nung project na yun. And at the same time, we also packed things that we're leaving behind. So simultaneously at the Cultural Center of the Philippines, we have also the same number of boxes, like 12 boxes of things that we're leaving behind, being exhibited simultaneously during nung kasabay nung ng Sydney Biennial. So and also our studio, we put everything in a transport pallet, packed them, and then we gifted them to the National Museum of the Filipino people. So in a way, we have these 3 exhibitions at the time being shown of that moment when we left the Philippines and migrated to Australia. So in a way, parang katulad ng sabi ko kanina, it's in a way an autobiographical work that continuously becomes the footing of our practice. So when we arrive in Australia, ang daming being a new migrant without anything, we have friends and acquaintances started giving us things that they thought we need to start a new life in Australia. So we end up having like 3 toasters, 2 washing machines, 3 computers, and so on and so forth. So ang daming kasing nagbibigay. So what we did is we just started putting everything in balikbayan boxes. Of course, as a new migrant, what you need is a home. So we thought of like, why don't we start, stacking these balikbayan boxes and create some kind of a home. So it becomes a project for the next exhibition wherein we got invited for the Adelaide Biennial. That was in 2007, a year after.
Yeah, Adelaide, but Adelaide is in South Australia, South Australia. Yeah.
So we created this some kind of a room. It's like a house, but a roofless house. No, so our work is also about the idea of using materials, but also creating a space wherein people can actually engage. And our work is all about engagement with the materials that we use, engagement with
The site.
um,
The site.
the site and the place where we will be doing the exhibition, engagement with, of course, the curatorial brief, kung ano yung tema ng exhibition, and engagement with the audience, wherein the meaning of the work multiplies when the audience actually start engaging with the work according to their own experience, their background, at kung paano nila, ano yung experience nila pag nakikita nila yung trabaho. So I think ito yung pinaka, probably yung core nung practice namin, and at the same time, an introduction to probably what we will be
Share what we will share with you
sharing
today.
with you. Now, zoom in from 2006 to
2024,
2024, we decided to move back to the Philippines. We got locked down here during the
2019.
pandemic, and as we all know, pandemics are always transformative. So nakita namin yung pangangailangan na dapat nandito kami because we started connecting with, well, wala naman kasing masyadong movement at that time. So kung ano lang yung magagawa namin. So we started connecting with the artisans in Laguna, like the pandayan, the tinsmith, the blacksmith, the wood carvers, the embroiderers in Lumban, wood carvers in Paete, and so on. So, and we started helping them financially, but at the same time with that idea that because these are all dying industries, yung skill pawala na, so we thought of creating a space where the community can start actually congregating and learn. So this is a new trajectory of our community-based practice, which is also interesting because the idea is actually not actually working with them, creating artworks or whatever, but actually the idea is to sustain their practice. No, pawala na yung mga panday kasi yung maybe 20 farmers na pupunta sa kanya na magpagawa ng karit during harvest time ay nawawala na yung mga yon kasi isang tao na lang having that big machine to harvest. So nawawala na yung mga farmers, nawawala na rin yung trabaho ng panday, no? And at the same time, pahirap ng pahirap. So nakaasa na lang sila sa 4-piece, which is becomes a very vicious cycle because politically, also because we are still in a
Feudal pa rin.
salita doon?
Wala kang magandang salita, kundi
Well,
katotohanan, man.
Patronage pa rin yung
Oo.
ating, as we probably, election times, makasan pupunta to. But, yeah, so we thought of wala naman tayong magagawa, kundi we do it on our own, okay? Maybe we can also empower the community by actually creating these little spaces in which now we're developing some kind of a module so that these spaces where the whole community can come and learn and exchange and share and so on can be replicated wherever, Visayas or sa Ilocos or whatever. So anyway, this is a new trajectory nung practice namin na ginagawa. So, balik
Pwede na
tayo
tayong
dito
pumasok?
before
Please come in.
ma-segue.
Baka saan pumunta. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, you can open. No?
Pwede buksan. So, there was a time in Australia when we got invited again to participate in a national portrait competition. Pero syempre kami, as Filipinos, ba't kami magdodrawing ng portrait namin, di ba? So we thought of creating something that speaks of. So we love collecting. We love working with materials and objects. So ang naisip namin is, and we have so much, So we thought of putting things together. Itong wardrobe na to is, of course, this is an Australian oak wood wardrobe na Fredo and I filled up with the objects, our personal belongings that we thought that we can give up. And on that side, hulaan nyo na lang kung kanino yung kay. But anyway, this is Alfredo's side, sinabi ko rin. And that's mine. Di ba?
Well, actually, the objects partly nanggaling din dun sa balikbayan
Bayan
box
box.
na
Yep.
dinala namin.
So, of course, so this was part of that competition. And fortunately, we were in the finalist. But and in the middle is one of our project that we have created. It's with our Mabini project series, where we worked with a tourist painter or an artist who creates low, that's what they say. But he creates landscape paintings, yung mga Philippine scenes, and we place that in the middle of the wardrobe. But again, we always invite everyone to participate and experience the work as how you see it. So ito, nakasarado, so people come in and open it and see and feel and read through what's inside the wardrobe.
Yeah, I guess this is also like, well, before we actually go through the exhibition, as mentioned before, you know, our work is all about the materials, no? But we have, in this exhibition, we have four elements or three elements, no? We have our portrait as an introduction to who we are, and then before we flew back to the Philippines, we're supposed to have a solo exhibition at the Gallery of Modern Art, Queensland Art Gallery in Australia, but because in some circumstances it was cancelled, and supposedly that exhibition we are going to exhibit the
objects.
that we were going to bring. I mean the content of the house that we are actually vacating.
In the whole museum.
In which I think we can also zoom back again in 1997 when I did my master's in UK. Nung pagbalik ko rito, the first exhibition that we did is actually we
Amassed.
We emptied our house in Los Baños and exhibited it. In-exhibit namin sa Alliance Francaise. It's okay.
Okay.
I'll just hold it. Alliance Francaise. Yung laman ng aming bahay. No. So, at that time also nakatira kami sa bahay na walang laman. But at the same time, Isabel also exhibited on the wall
Opposite wall.
opposite wall, yung laman ng bahay nasa floor. Yung opposite wall is all the photographs that I took during my absence. Remember that during that time, it's pre-internet, no? So wala kaming connection except yung mga sulatan namin. But at the same time, pagbalik ko, yun yung parang
Reconnection.
work na idea ng reconnection. No? So hindi kami nagkikwentuhan, ano ba nangyari sa'yo? But Isabel actually, piece by piece, put all the thousands of photographs that I took. But at the same time, ako naman nilalagay ko yung objects ng bahay for me to reconnect with home, no? So I think there's always a connection between that moment of those works between the work that we are showing here. So nung August, inimpake namin yung gusto namin iuwi sa isang container between us and the kids. We have 5 children who are also all practicing artists.
Yeah.
And in most cases, we also work together. And that's also our parang strategy para magkakasama ulit, no? Kasi kanya-kanya na sila. So, siguro tapusin na namin yung aming pagsasalita dito, and we'll let you experience the work and also engage, and also I'm sure all of us have affinity or maybe connection with the materials that we use here, which is cardboard, but at the same time we have this transport pallet na may sulat. But we're also,
May ilaw.
for how many years we've been collecting these images from the internet of horizons taken by someone somewhere in undisclosed location, and hindi natin kilala kung sino yung kumuha, but everyone is just taking photograph of the horizon, in which we have all one horizon lang, no, if we come to think of it. So siguro yung photograph, the work, meron yan mga, okay, yun ang bahala.
Okay. Pero again, our work would always be, something for you to question, and how you think, it can connect to you. Pwede rin hindi makakonect, it's okay. So, pero naka-open siya parati kung ano man yung nararamdaman niyo. But I think all artworks are like that anyway, di ba? Most of the time, sabi nga namin mga artists, hindi nga namin dapat sabihin kung ano. But, there's a point you need to talk about it.
I think it's all about references, no? While economic, bakit kami umalis, cultural, political, and so on. And all those things actually that affects you as an artist, no? Because of course, as an artist, you have this responsibility to reflect what's happening around you. Otherwise, ang laki naman ng kasalanan mo ang artist kung, ano ba yung ginagawa mo? Ikaw naman yung nakakakita
na iba.
ng different way of looking. And also for a different way for people to start understanding the world around us through, the language or yung bokabularyo namin na maiba rin yung pagtingin. No?
Yes.
Okay. Salamat.
Salamat po. So, pwede po umikot. So, we
Yeah,
can
if you-
start.
if
If
you
you
have
have
any-
any questions, pwede pong magtanong. Kahit na ano. Diyan ka sa kabila. Delikado
Oh, by the way, the flowers is also created by our daughter who is here.
Amihan.
She's like ang background niya is into fashion,
Fashion.
but she also creates soft sculptures. No, these flowers are actually Australian
Native.
native flowers. So again, it is the semantics.
Yeah. So, but also just, also this work, originally, it was only just the wardrobe and our objects. May last na component na nadagdag because the very end then of last year, we were invited again to be part of the national,
it's called the
National Four.
It's called the National.
National
It's an Australian exhibition
Yes.
of a selection of contemporary practicing artists. So I think every 3 years, every 2 years, they select contemporary artists practicing in Australia to be part of that exhibition, which is called National. No? So in yung mga major venues, museums, Australia. Sa Sydney.
So we have, meron kaming ligaw na bayabas dun sa likod ng bahay namin na tinira namin ng 18 years. So we got that part and sort of installed it and added it at the bottom of the wardrobe just to say talking about being rooted. So, but then again, it's also a question of, ano bang ibig sabihin ng pagiging rooted? Rooted sa pinanggalingan mo? Or kung saan ka napapadpad? Ano nga ba to? So lahat ng makikita nyo dito, buksan nyo it's an invitation for you to open your eyes, your senses, your imagination, and memory, most probably. So, yun lang po.
The title of the work is
there are some, and there are objects that, but again, the idea of, the idea of wrapping and unwrapping, yung idea ng pag-close, pag-enclose at disclose, ano ba tinatago ng mga to, di ba? Meron ba kayong tinatago? O one question here is that, meron bang laman to? Maraming nagtatanong sa amin eh. But it's a, what do you think? So we kind of like also at some point medyo dinidistort namin yung image ng ibang object. Like we play around. So yun yung parating nandun sa family namin na maski sa mga anak namin that hindi nawala. Na parang okay, even if we work together and create something together, it's always like binibigay namin sa kanila opportunity to still don't forget to play. Experiment and push. That's us. We push the boundaries of using the materials. Again, bakit karton? Sa amin, very significant. But going back to what Alfredo said, significant yung karton because of, unang-una yung balikbayan box. And we always see this as a vessel in itself. So kung makikita nyo lahat yung iba pa naming trabaho aside from this, yung reference that it's a vessel, may bangka, of course, yan yung memory. But of course, Freddy, hails from, he belongs to minority who are the Imbanags, and he grew up in a coastal town. I'm a Manila girl. And so parating nagre-resonate yun. They always come out as who we are as Filipino. Hindi mo pwedeng takasan. The sensibilities of the idea of making do, it's always there. Kahit yun nga yung sabi ko yung Pinoy, bigyan mo ng basura, gaganda yan eh. Di ba? We can do something always with it. Okay. Guys, pasok kayo. Please come in. If this would have been installed in a bigger or mas malaking space, pwedeng mag-walk, pumasok sa loob eh. Pero it's fitting also that it was placed in this venue. So again, when we were given this space to install the work and create the work in this space, very fitting for us, parang naging portrait. It's a portrait drawing space. Eh. So, but in our case, what we did here is kind of like draw or create, like using the lines, using the tapes to create lines, to create texture. And also, ginamit namin siya parang super masikip. Para ma-experience nyo rin ba yung feeling nung nilagay to lahat sa isang container? Di ba? Pinagkasya lahat, but it's even more than this. So it's just part of what we have also.
Yeah.
Claire, classmate ko to nung high school in-announce ba eh. O bakit daw may bangka?
Yeah, lagi kasing we always integrate or utilize yung form nung bangka. No? It's all about movement. But at the same time, bakit nakabaliktad siguro? Yun siguro din yung susunod na tanong. No? We always, pinag-uusapan namin, baka dito kasi yung bangka, dito nanggaling, o the dawn of architecture, no?
Started.
When settlers, arrive in an island, the first thing they do is invert their boat. And that becomes the first room. Sabi namin, baka yung architecture dito nanggaling eh. No? So marami sa trabaho namin, laging may nakabaliktad na bangka. No? Because it talks about home also. No? It talks about that idea of shelter. But at the same time, of course, bangka talks about the idea of movement and journeys and so on. No? Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, siguro mga
Portion pa lang
ano
to.
lang to, mga maybe 30% or yeah.
Kasi we brought home 40-footer eh.
Yeah.
Hindi lang 20.
So I think if you also notice the way it's being installed, in a way, I have an arts background, no? And I also studied in sa West, sa New York. So I have also this background of the formalist way of
Putting
siguro
things
sa
together.
kung may arts background kayo, naiintindihan nyo yung idea ng formalism also, no? Like if you look, for example, the tapes, kung paano siya na-composed, yung kulay, or the way it's being arranged, there's some kind of a formalist experience. But of course, these are all just signifiers, no? Signifiers ng meaning. Okay? So, yeah.
Akin naman ang aking background is in the production arts. So, yun yung kombinasyon namin dalawa. So, kung meron idea o may nakikita kayong pakiramdam na staging or, creating a production. So, dun lang pasok. But then again, maybe isa ring tanong na nasa isip nyo, paano ba itong dalawa na itong nagtrabaho? Ako na nagtatanong sa sarili ko.
No, it's okay, don't
It's okay. Wag na.
Well, if you have other questions,
Kasi
you can also
usual.
ask that.
Hindi. Ito nga, yun nga, the idea of extending the making of the work, parati yan sa practice namin. So here, syempre, marami din kami. Nag-umpisa kaming mag-empake sa Australia pa lang. Tapos until we were here. And then, of course, we have worked with a lot of people in this packing the work and creating it. So, which is always good also. But again, for us, the best part, when we were putting this together, like even when people are packing, everyone is packing, and everyone talks about something while creating the work, which is always the most important part in our practice, which we call the invisibles. Alfred.
So yeah, I think the isa sa mga the importance of this work is most of our projects, because we involve community, is that idea of creating a space for people to come together. And in the end, we might be creating something, but I think for us, the art form is that moment when we get people sit down and be together, no, and share. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, and I think that's the art form in itself. In the end, we have these works na nakikita nyo, but these are just coincidentals. Okay?
Or it's a documentation of what have transpired during the creation of the work. But that's that. But what is more important is, I think, it's not only Pinoy, it's maybe Southeast Asia, that we feel that we need to, or human nature, we need to connect. We need to create that relationship. And that is very important in our practice. Or, yun yung aming andun yung puso, at saka yung core nung...
Well, I think the idea of egalitarianism and also interdependency, I think, comes with it also.
Po.
Sir, I noticed po that in the installation there are two things I noticed. We have the white parang stickers na squares, and there are objects that are unwrapped.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about the significance of those two things?
Yeah, when we pack things, we always put the address. But as you notice, walang nakalagay
label.
na address. No. So I think probably that's also yeah, that is also na hindi kami naglagay ng address, but yeah, it can be somewhere, it can be anywhere, no. So I think that's the white thing. But it's also, as I've said a while ago, it's also aesthetic
We leave it-
contemplation.
yeah.
So it becomes also some kind of a compositional device. Di ba?
Visual arts.
So parang
Aesthetic
part lang yan ng
contemplation.
Aesthetic. Ano yung isang tanong? Some of them are unwrapped. Of course, these are also like for example, this is
Our
steel
sons.
toe shoes used
By
by me
ours.
when I was
Ikaw
first
pa rin.
working. Is it Jegos?
Jegos.
At the museum, no? So that's also like you're also like go to parang mga OFW na nagtatrabaho ka abroad, no? We have books that are actually like Australian books, yung mga pula and so on. Ano pa bang unwrap yan? But yes, these are something that we want people to start, to trigger and to spark those, activate those signifiers.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
May question ka?
Hi, Christopher. Yeah, a former student in Philippine High School for the Arts. So ilang years ago, Chris? 30? Oh my God. Galing.
30-something.
Yeah, so wonderful to see you a while back.
Okay. I have a question. This is like, because you said something how the object, if I remember correctly, like how, like let's say you kept it in a box. It's like a resemblance of like, why am I forgetting one question? Okay, but let's just say such an object like this is destroyed, and since we type these objects to memories, is it like the feeling that even when it's destroyed, do you still lose that memory of all the experiences there? So let's say, for example, this cat tower that's over here. Let's just say if this was destroyed, do you feel as if that you lose the experience? And if it was destroyed, do you feel like if you lose the experience of, let's say, maybe someone with a cat, or maybe you had a cat, but you can only recall like, oh, there was just a cat tower there. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, as they say, there's no such thing as permanent. But sometimes, yung memory, yun lang ang nag-stay. But of course, yesterday we visited Isabel's mom, who is now having dementia. So that also is very fragile, no? But of course, we also have like all these experiences, no? Most especially when we engage with an object or something that triggers those memories. And I think, while having a conversation with Isabel's mom yesterday, yung memory bumabalik pag merong nagtitrigger, no?
Object.
And I think this is how powerful, for example, objects are. This is how, for example, how powerful art is. Ano ba talaga yung importansya nung ginagawa natin na sining o yung tinatawag nating art, no, sa buhay natin. And I think one of them is that, no, for us to experience things or see things differently, and probably brings back things that sometimes we overlook or sometimes we forget. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Okay. But like, is it like when you remember something, is it like kind of like the image of what that object was after it was destroyed, or the destroyed object now?
Ang hirap naman ng tanong mo. Hindi. I think, magmamatter ba yun? Parang, well, maybe for some it will. But, as I say, an object is an object. It will, at some point in time, these objects will mawawala, it can deteriorate.
Yeah,
But what's lasting are the memories. So it doesn't matter anymore whatever these objects are. It will.
But I think we also have like a different way of engaging, no? Like for example, in my case, I have this maleta, but each and every one of us have different experiences, or what this maleta triggers, no? When we engage with it, no? Like for example, me, naalala ko to pag nung inihila ko siya sa cobblestone dun sa na hirap ako, somewhere. But of course, each and every one siguro, maleta ng tatay ko, or it is actually a vessel. In a way, it's also a vessel of memory, just like the shoes, for example, no? Yung kanyang mileage while you're actually going
Walking.
through, a specific location.
That's all of my
Okay,
questions.
salamat.
Do we have any more questions? Ako po may question
Sige.
actually. So a lot of your work involves collecting things. So yung question ko po, do you usually like keep them, or paano po yung storage actually?
Yeah, that's a problem. We're massive hoarders.
Well, in most of our work, it's also like, it's been recycled. Like,
Oo eh. Kaya
some
nag-accumulate
of them
eh.
also was exhibited from other exhibitions. But if you see this cube of tapes, I don't know if you noticed, these are actually a cube of tapes that we did an exhibition in Sydney for the inaugural show ng Sydney Modern when they opened the Sydney Modern at the Art Gallery of New South Wales. We had this huge cardboard installation, and after the exhibition, everything goes back into the recycling kasi lahat ng buong materials is cardboard. Pero ang kinokollect ko lang yung mga tapes na ginamit namin and create another work, another sculptures. That, in a way, ito yung sa akin, personally, ito yung memory nung trabaho na yon, and at the same time, memory nung lahat ng tao nag-engage. And at that moment also, nung ginagawa namin with our 5 children, creating that work, I think that's what the work is all about. Of course, ang sinasabi ko, these are just invisibles na hindi natin nakikita doon sa trabaho, pero naka-embed doon sa work.
Kasi na-touch na siya ng iba.
Yeah. So we always use objects that's being used, have been experienced, and at the same time, nagkikerry siya ng mga naratibo.
Yeah.
Thank you po. Any more?
It's not a question, but more so a reflection while looking at it with this. I think it's more connected to what Kuya mentioned kanina about whether if the art is destroyed, is there still the same emotional significance in there? And I think that this can be, as a psych major, I think there is a different lens on how I see this art. This is what we call the object permanence. So when the material is there, you can recognize the experience that comes with it. And I think that connected yun yung sinabi ni Kuya kanina. If nasira siya, is there same pa rin ba yung emotional importance of that material? And I think that is the very importance of the art itself by Sir Aquilizan. Kasi these are representation. Although it's visible, we are looking at it, pero there is so much of experience that yung paggawa mismo ng art, and from the way, ano ba yung na-feel nung tao while doing the art, or bakit ba ito yung form, or bakit ba yun yung ginawa. And I think that one interpretation from me is that it doesn't matter if, like, for example, nakatingin ako doon, di ko nakikita yung art. Pero like, I've already had that experience. I already perceive it. Nakita ko na. And there's still the emotional significance in there. And I think that encapsulates this experience.
Oh, thank you,
Salamat.
darling. She's from
From Cagayan po. I'm
Val.
school Sunday.
Yes, darling. Thank you for coming. Oh my God. Thank you for that sharing. Sa Bali. You should have spoken in Ilocano. Ang galing.
Do you have any... Ay.
Hello. Good morning. Sorry. I see that your work has a lot to do with scale and
Yeah.
size.
Yes.
Point of curiosity, what is the biggest object that you've decided to keep with you?
Oh my God.
And the smallest object you've had to let go of?
Oh
Because
my God.
it's, when you say something is big, it's easy to let go of it kasi hindi kasha or whatever. But I want to know what's the biggest thing you've decided to keep and take with you, either from the Philippines to Australia and back. And what's the smallest thing na parang kasha naman, but I'll leave this na lang because it no longer serves whatever purpose it used to have. So yun po. Thank you.
Well, we have still with us the 140 balikbayan
Balikbayan
boxes. Yeah, it's been well, the title of the work, just another background. The title of the work is called Address or Address. Kasi bahay siya, no? It is supposedly a work that talks about an address, like a permanent address. And also talks about the idea of settlement. Pero ironically, it's just been traveling for 18 years from different museums and locations. In fact, it just came back from Jeju Island from Korea. Nasa studio na namin. And will be shipped back to where
Australia.
it came from, which is in Brisbane, Australia, for it to be in the permanent collection of the Gallery of Modern Art. So, yeah, that's probably, as of this point, not that scale, but, you know, yung laki nung kanyang sinakop as a naratibo na kung saan-saan siya nagpupunta. No? And at the same time, kung ano yung laki nung feeling o nung emotion na nakakabit doon. I think we cannot actually, like, of course we're talking about sizes, but I think for me that's the
Hindi immeasurable. Hindi mo masusukat eh. You cannot quantify.
Probably one of the biggest installation that we did is in Russia, in Moscow. No, wherein we collected objects also and put everything in a sledge. No, creating that parang you can actually look it up in the internet. But one of the smallest things that we're keeping is actually
A red shoe of a little girl.
Yeah, a red baby shoes. Na doon nag-uumpisa yung parada ng mga objects na papunta sa nakaturo
Somewhere.
sa
Kremlin.
Of course, we can have another session about this mga
Bakit naiiba yung
mga
mga...
side kwentos. But in most cases, most of our installations or our work are all just vignettes. No, vignettes na maliliit na mga kwento. At the same time, meron pang mga maliliit na kwento kung kailan namin o kung ano yung experience na nangyari during the time na ginagawa namin. No? Because our work is site-specific. We respond to the place. Doon namin kinokollect yung object. At yun yung nagkikwento kung ano talaga yung
Nararamdaman una.
yung kung ano yung kwento ng lugar na yun.
Yes.
No? So, yes, we have a lot of objects that we're keeping actually. In most cases, from installations that we create all over. No? We have one also, like a few boxes of balikbayan boxes from Honolulu, Hawaii, that talks about, the narrative of the sugarcane industry that changes the whole demographic of Hawaii. Yung mga ganon. But yeah, we can keep going actually.
So
sa mga
most of the time, yung sinasabi naming site-specific, kasi minsan, katulad nung babalik ako sa Moscow, we were only given like a small space. Pagdating namin doon, biglang naging 20 meters yung pag-i-installa namin. So, anong gagawin mo? So, but, with this type of work, we come, we arrive, we have nothing. So, we build from zero. And most of the time, we collect the objects on site. And that's why nagiging site-specific yung aming trabaho. At the same time, he mentioned about something that how we respond. It's very important on how we respond to what's happening around us. And as artists, kahit na tayo'y musician, kahit na tayo'y aktor, o kung ano man tayo, creative tayo, we have the gift. So we always translate what we experience in our lives, what touched our lives, in the things that we do, the works we create, and share that to the wider public or to the audience. That's important to us, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions? Sige, I'm gonna ask this for the young people in the audience kasi marami pong usually tinatanong to. So ano po yung advice niyo for our young artists in the audience?
well, I think the
Important ngayon.
more especially for artists, no, I think the
Yeah.
role of art, I think, is integral to our life, no, and I think in most cases, again, that responsibility to respond and at the same time to share and create spaces for people to come and engage, for people to come to connect, and most importantly, I think to create spaces or works for people to start slowing down. And I think that's the most important aspect of what we do as an artist, no, to make people slow down and contemplate and question perhaps. Yeah.
Hindi lang artist yun, and to everyone. So we always say in our work, it's always an invitation for everyone for you to not just be a passive observer.
But an active participant.
Yes. So hindi lang yan dyan. Sa buong paligid mo, especially at this time and age, in what's happening around the world, what's happening in our immediate environment. And we have to do something about it. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you everyone. With that, let's give them a hand again. So again, this exhibition will run until April 16. So please feel free to come and visit also our other exhibitions.
Ay, maraming salamat
Thank
po
you
sa pagpunta.